Just 15 days out from the midterms, new polling shows voters trust the GOP to handle the country's top issues, such as inflation and rising crime.
Cory Mills is a Florida congressional candidate, Army combat veteran, and former DOD advisor under President Trump, and joins us now. Cory, always great to see you. So you saw those poll numbers there. Republicans do trust, or the American people do trust Republicans to handle the kitchen table issues more, the economy, inflation, crime. This is a fact that's not lost on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. And over the weekend, she revealed her strategy, and it is to change the subject. Listen to this.
It's about getting out the vote. Everything else is a conversation compared to that. The fact is that when I hear people talk about inflation, as I heard him there, we have to change that subject. Inflation is a global phenomenon.
So we're 2 weeks away from the midterms, Cory, and it doesn't seem like the American people want the subject to be changed.
Well, that's exactly right, Carly. I mean, you think about the fact that almost every single American today, it's costing them an extra month of salary to buy the things they bought just 22 months ago. You know, of course, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats want to get away from inflation. You know, first they tried to say that inflation was transitory. Then they tried to say that the Inflation Reduction Act would improve on the inflation. But the realities is that we have a 40-year high inflation. We have our CPI at almost 8.3%. You've got where gas prices are at a record high. You've got where criminality is at a record high. You've got the border, which is completely open. We had over 273,000 just in the month of September, 2.3 million for the year. So things are not going well for the Democrats, and they want to continue to change the narrative so that it doesn't highlight their failures in policy.
Right. Well, and regardless of what Nancy Pelosi says, Bernie Sanders sees it a totally different way. He said that he does take an issue with the possible turnout or lack thereof of the young people voting Democrat in this election. But he's also calling out Republicans for not doing enough to fix the inflation issue. Listen to this.
What are the Republicans' response to inflation? What do they want to do? Well, maybe they want to cut wages for workers. Do they want to raise the minimum wage? No, they don't. So I think it's important to take the attack to the Republicans. What do they want to do other than complain?
Your reaction to that soundbite, Cory?
Well, I think that, you know, Senator Sanders should also look at the nearly $5 trillion that's been spent in 22 months. You know, the left is trying to continue to run on this modern monetary theory, this principle or idea that because we make our currency here in the United States, that we can just continue to do so and that debt is not bad. But an increase in debt leads to an increase in printing money, which leads to inflation, which then leads to what they're looking for, which is demand destruction. And so we have to identify with the fact that this is as a result of inflationary and irresponsible spending. This is why we need to stop the Green New Deal down payments. The idea that you can write an executive order just bypassing legislation for a $500 billion college bailout, which recently Joe Biden actually said, yes, we passed this in legislation, I think, by 1 or 2 votes. This has never come to the floor a single time. And so what it is it's the left continuing to blame, but actually having no answers and not acknowledging the fact that they're accountable for our existing inflation rates.
Let's get into prediction-making time when it comes to the midterm election, specifically how the Senate is going to shape up. Real Clear Politics has the Senate projections at 53 seats for Republicans, 47 for Democrats, which would be huge. 538 has the Senate at a dead-even matchup. What are you hearing about how things will shape up? And also, particularly in Florida, we're hearing that Marco Rubio's race could be sort of a sleeper race. Val Demings may have some traction on the ground. Do you think that's true?
No, I can tell you right now that Senator Rubio, especially after the recent debates, is definitely going up in the lead. I think that Republicans right now are actually overperforming on what the generic ballot's actually showing. So I think when Val Demings kind of showed where she doesn't have the temperament for the Senate and was kind of losing it during the debates, I think that was a very positive thing for Senator Rubio. But also you're watching where J.D. Vance has taken the lead in Ohio. You're watching where Laxalt has taken the advance in Nevada. You're watching where after the Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker debate, you're seeing where that's now drawing a dead heat. So I'm definitely seeing where the Republicans are sticking to the issues. The Democrats are continuing to try and run on abortion alone being the only positive thing they can stay on. But I'm definitely feeling really good about the state of Florida. You know, for the first time under Governor Ron DeSantis, we now have more registered Republicans than you have Democrats. This has never happened in Florida's history. We're now 300,000 more registered Republicans than Democrats. And so I think that you're seeing where Florida is taking a big stand. You're starting to see where people are voting with their feet by leaving Democrat blue states like New York and coming to Florida, to the free state of Florida, where we basically understand what it is to not have the unconstitutional mandates. And so I think that we're feeling really confident going into the midterms, both in regards to the House, but also into the Senate.
Right, but people in Florida just hope that they're fleeing and they're not going to vote the same way they did in places like New York.
Good point.
Don't New York, my Florida.
Right. Cory, let's get to this last topic. North and South Korea are exchanging warning shots along a disputed sea border earlier this morning. It raised tensions after North Korea's slew of missile tests over the last month. So I want to get your thoughts on that whole situation, but also how can this affect Americans?
Well, I think that we definitely need to start acknowledging the fact that there's this axis of evil, this geopolitical alignment between China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. And North Korea feels emboldened by this. You know, they've launched the highest record of ballistic missiles just during the Biden administration this year with over 41 ballistic missile tests. But also what we've seen, and this has happened on a number of occasions, where merchant ships or other, because North Korea does not acknowledge the northern line limits, has come across, there has been fired shots, and then artillery is exchanged in return. I think that this is just a continuation of kind of antagonistic behavior and activity between the two, but it's certainly something that America should focus upon.
It certainly is. And Cory, just a few seconds left to you because you're also running for Congress in Florida. So just give me the last 10 seconds. How do you think your race is shaping up 2 weeks out?
So our race is going great right now. I mean, we're up double digits right now with only 16 days left. I've got the highest name ID than my opponent. Favorability, unfavorabilities for crosstab analysis is doing amazing. We got about 13% undecided. And Governor Ron DeSantis, who I just spoke with yesterday in a rally, said he's not even worried about my race and that we're going to continue to run through the ticker tape. So we're doing well. We're going to keep it moving.
There you have it. Cory, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Cory.
Thank you so much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.